Have you ever studied abroad? Or are you planning to? Today we're going to be discussing our own experiences studying abroad, telling you everything you need to know before you catch that flight. So if you're planning on studying abroad sometime soon, or you just want to get nostalgic about your own experience, give this a watch.
Wait, that was amazing.
All right, so what's the craziest thing that's ever happened to you while you were studying abroad?
You want to go first?
Yes. Lalo. So I had a lot of great memories, fil verità, and there are so many positives. But if you want to know the craziest, I think it was experiencing a shooting.
Oh my God.
I think that was definitely one which really stuck to me. And it's something that I never thought I would experience, ever.
Lalo, I don't think anyone ever expects
No, I mean...
to experience anything like that. Oh my God.
Exactly. And even though I went to America, tipo, and we heard a lot about it in the news, I never really thought I would, be there when something like that happened. And again, I didn't experience it firsthand since I wasn't there when that actually happened. But, even just the atmosphere around the whole situation was shocking.
Must feel so surreal.
Where were you? What went down exactly?
So I was in a club, we were just, we used to go out a lot, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday,
Classic.
Saturday,
Oh,
every
yeah.
single week. That. But it's part of it, and we just went out, teapot, it was a normal day. And then at the point, we all look at our phones and we receive a message from the school saying, there's a shooter, stay inside, don't go out, etc. And we just, were locked in there. They, just closed the doors. And I think we were locked for around 3 hours.
Jesus.
Till 4 a.m.
Ma, min jaf x'ansieta.
No, it was crazy. And we were also a bit drunk, so people
Oh my God, min
you don't really
jaf.
think about the whole situation and how scary it is at that point.
I think it's more like the morning after, min jaf.
Yes, that was the worst. Because then I remember they just opened, we ran to the dorms. And even though the shooting wasn't really associated to the school, it was kind of right outside, but... it was still right next to the school, tipo. The campus was very open, so anyone could enter and go out, tipo, at any point. The next day, it was just shocking. Everyone just couldn't believe it.
Oh my God.
So that's the craziest. But it doesn't really encompass the whole, experience either.
Yes, I guess it's
There were so many positives. That just was one of the very bad ones. I think the worst one, definitely.
Obviously.
I'm sorry you went through that. It sounds
As in,
devastating.
it's part of it. I never thought I would experience it, so that's why it's so crazy. But
Ma.
You've put mine to shame, so thank you for that, Gabe.
What's yours, Matt?
So since I used to work in restaurants and hotels, so on and so forth, when I spent time in Scotland, I spent a year in Scotland, I managed to serve some people of high class, of a high status, so to say. So there was Tilda Swinton, the actress that was in Narnia, Doctor Strange, French Dispatch, Asteroid
cool.
City, so on and so forth. I served her afternoon tea, and I didn't know it was her until the person that was sitting on the table with her is listen, you're all chill, just so you know, this is Tilda Swinton. Okay, wow. So that was pretty cool. I served Thomas Tull. For those of you that don't know who Thomas Tull is, he was the CEO of this massive company who was worth $1 billion, and they were in entertainment and movies, so they helped produce, with Mr. Tull, helped produce Hangover, 300, Dark Knight, Inception.
He's a big boy.
He's a big boy, and I did flambe for dinner at his table.
Oh my God.
Got his kids involved, they were pouring in the liqueurs, we had a massive flame, he has me on his camera, doing all that, so that was pretty cool. And at one point during my 1 year over there, a girl peed on my carpet.
Wow, that's a good
yes.
just...
We're having I wouldn't call it a house party, I'd call it a room party, because we had these tiny dormitories around the Glen Eagles Hotel. I had mine, and this girl, we were... Because it was a week before I came back to Malta. So obviously I made sure that my room was spick and span, because otherwise you won't get your deposit back. So I was deep cleaning everything, dog. And then, silly me, I threw a room party. And everyone was leaving. I was closing door. I turned around. One girl that stayed over, I just see her, just like straight up peeing on my carpet.
Yeah.
Like it was like 4 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
My friend who lived across from me, he had a breakfast shift for which he used to wake up at like 4:30 in the morning, and he had this cool like a cool carpet scrubber. So I used that to fix the situation immediately. But I would say those in
So it ran
ascending
dry?
order. It ran dry, and no one noticed. It was the
At
talk of the
least.
town later on. Poor thing. Obviously, I made a meal of the situation. I would say in ascending order, those are my craziest ones. What about you, Nai?
I feel like my craziest would be like the first. That's not like, but the first time I properly got like wasted on Erasmus.
Oh, yeah.
I'm lightweight, alright, and we were there. We had a house party because it was during COVID. So I was like, all right, ħannixrob il-lejla. Updating ħallat ma nafx updateni when I was bad. Like, and I went to my friend's like room because this was at her house. And she had like her room, she had like 2 beds because it was like a double room, but there wasn't anyone living with her. So there was a single bed here and a single bed here. And the one that wasn't being used didn't have a mattress. So it was just the frame. It was a metal frame. And I was in there being like Zibel. And I passed out. Like, I don't remember. This is what my friends told me.
On your feet, like you're on your feet.
I passed out. I hit the corner of the bed. Like, boom, like Marasi. Damn! I cracked my head open. And I don't remember anything. I just fell and I, like, passed out on the floor. And then my friend walked in. She's, like, sees me on the floor with blood coming out of my head. She's like, Naomi, what the fuck? Like, what? I left you alone for 5 minutes. And I see you on the floor, like, with blood oozing out of your head.
Living in a dorm can be like the most amazing experience, but there's always some crazy thing happening.
Yes. Then I woke up, the first thing I did was throw up my guts out.
Of course.
And then it was
classic.
Fine. That was okay.
Did
it's
you
just
get like,
a silly story.
Did you get like stitches or something like that?
No,
or?
because I didn't
Should I
have
say
like... I didn't have health insurance, like, as in like... I technically did, but with COVID it was complicated and I had to do like this extra step and I don't think I ever did it, manafx. Like maybe I should have, but I was like, whatever.
So whoever is watching, before you go on Erasmus or something like
no,
that, get your health insurance.
Get your health insurance.
Yep.
I had mine. It was just you had to register with like a doctor.
It's that exactly. Like, you get the blue card and then you need to go to your GP.
You have to register with a GP.
Exactly.
I just like
my GP Alaibek always on holiday, man. He was
you
always.
actually registered with a GP.
Yes.
I didn't.
Yes, I had my shit together, Naomi.
For me, it was much easier. I could just go and they would like take care of you.
Yes, but you'd have to pay Sheba in America.
But since we were students at the school,
where were you exactly in America? Like where?
So I was in Virginia Tech. It's in this really small town called Blacksburg, in the middle of Virginia. The town was, I think, around 60,000 people. Then in summer, it would go down to like 15 or 25. Just because the whole city, the whole infrastructure revolved around the school.
Okay.
That's quite
it was
crazy,
very like introverted, the whole system.
How come you went there?
So basically I applied through this program that's offered by UM. It's called ICEP. And I just applied.
It's like Erasmus, but like
it's like Erasmus, but you can go anywhere in the world essentially. I could have gone to... My actual top choice was Australia, but because of COVID it was closed. So we couldn't really go. Then I had Virginia Tech, which I was very lucky to go there. But I could have applied to like South Korea, to Japan, to anywhere,
how cool.
Mexico.
America's cool, ma.
No, America. I mean, I really wanted to go. So obviously I chose America. Plus the program was also very good, so I just decided to go for it. And I was very lucky to end up there. Like,
you went alone?
Yes, I did.
I went alone. How scary.
It was. But eventually, like, I had a friend that went alone as well the semester before, so that was kind of...
Okay, that helps a lot.
Yes, and she didn't go to that school, but she went to a school also in America, in Charlotte. And she kind of, cushioned this process for me.
Prepped you properly
100%.
for it.
But it was amazing, like...
You were on Erasmus,
I was
right?
in Aberystwyth, but no one knows where that is. I was in Wales.
Wales,
in Wales, in the middle of nowhere. Infatti, I struggled, like, even when I was planning to, like, go there, I'd, like, Google Aberystwyth, Bishnara, Shem, like, where is this place? And it's, like, the same 4 photos over and over. And I'm like, where am I going, man? Like, Shanamel. But it was actually really, really beautiful. It was in the middle of nowhere in Wales. ġitni tajba, because since it was like peak COVID time, even if there were bars and clubs, like, you know, we couldn't go there. So we just had like amazing scenery at least. We went on
Nice.
beautiful hikes. So I had an insane experience. You were in Scotland, right?
Scotland, yeah.
Scotland.
I went up a bit different to you guys. I went up with ITS. So it was that classic, like in order to get your diploma, you need to go spend a year abroad working at a 5-star hotel overseas. You do a 1-year placement over there, and then you have some final exams, and then you get your diploma for food and beverage management. I chose a hotel called the Glen Eagles Hotel in Scotland. It was in the Highlands, like between, it was a place called Perthshire, so it's between Edinburgh and Glasgow. To go to the Co-op, which was the nearest supermarket, it was like an hour and 20-minute walk.
Proper in the middle of nowhere.
It was like a 25-minute bike ride. And then
But what was like exactly near you, just the hotel?
So next to the Co-op, and then in a little town called Dr. Arder, we had a local pub called the Niblick, but we'd mainly get our drinks in at the hotel because this was like a staff accommodation. It was like dormitories, all living next to each other, but you've got your own room, you've got your own bed and your own bathroom and wardrobe and desk, like pretty much. So we had the social pub over there, so we used to go over there to like drink beers, eat pizza, but when you're feeling crazy you'd go down to Dr. Arder and then you'd have a few drinks, and then you'd end up in either Perth, Stirling, Glasgow or any of these places, Edinburgh, for a few drinks after.
How long did you stay there?
A whole year, which was scary as fuck going up. You know, you're away for 1 year, and now 1 year is a sweet spot because, you know, it's not that long, 1 year of your life if you look at the grand scheme of your life.
But also going into it, it's like a whole year.
You make every step of it, you know what I mean?
I was going to piss myself and I just went for 6 months. Like I remember like when I went on my flight, I was crying. Like I went to Costa at the airport, like, you know, like at the airport, like upstairs. Imma sobbing ta' min jarani with my iced coffee sobbing. Isa ma jitsforzawni biex immur, like it was leaving was hard. But then as soon as I got there, it was fine. But leaving, taking that leap, especially alone, because I went alone. I was meant to go with a friend of mine, but she ditched like a week or two before I left because of COVID. Like, because when I went, the new strain had just like become a thing in the UK. So she was like, Leta, I'm out. And I was like, fuck it, Hamuru, if I still can go, I'm going. But it was hard leaving, especially knowing that as soon as I go, no one can visit me. Because of COVID, no one could visit me. Like, my friends, my family, it was no.
Was that your main fear going up? Like,
yes,
what did you say?
Just being alone and not having that comfort of like my parents and my friends. But it all worked out fine. And I'm glad it happened the way it did. I'm glad I went alone. I'm glad no one could visit me. I had just 6 months to my own and it was amazing.
It all works out in the end.
It does. It really does.
Were you scared at all, like going up to America by yourself?
You know, for me, it was a bit different because it was similar to Naomi's. I think I went the year after you. So I went in January 2022. But I left in December and we had, I think, the most amount of cases daily at that point of COVID.
I was quarantined. I had COVID when you left.
Exactly. So I didn't really know if I was going up until literally the day before because I had to test. I tested on Christmas Day, I remember, and then I tested again on the 27th. Or 26th, and on the 27th as well, like 3 times. And my flight was on the 28th, so I didn't even pack. Like, I packed 2 days before because I wasn't sure if I was going. Jen. It was crazy. And also, I was a bit sick, so I had a feeling I had COVID. Thank God I didn't. But then, when I went, it was a bit surreal because I really didn't think I was going to go. And the whole process took, I think, 14 or 15 months. I applied in November of 2020.
How was it, the process, like, of applying work?
It's very long and tedious. Like, first you have to apply through University of Malta, and then you get accepted through that. Then I applied through this program called ISEP, and there is where you list the schools. And then I think I got my school in around October, so I was selected at Virginia. And then you have to start applying to Virginia Tech as well for the dining and for the dorms work.
Because even for me, I remember there was a lot of paperwork and signatures that had to be done. And
insurances.
And people not replying to emails, so like Shaba Hassel. It's a lot of people go through the same
Yes,
hassles.
but at the same time also, I really can't complain because
No, then it's so worth it.
I got
like.
tuition, food, and accommodation for free.
Illallu, even
wow.
food.
Yes, I had 3 meals a day in a dining hall.
No.
Illallu,
Yes,
how
it was
good.
amazing.
And accommodation, b'xej.
Accommodation pay and dorms, which wasn't the best experience.
But at
just
least it
because I
was free.
No, but again, yes, it was free. I couldn't complain. People were at the school and they were paying like thousands and thousands of dollars per semester.
Yeah, there it's expensive.
And I was taking all of that for free.
Illallu.
So it's a great program.
My accommodation was very good, but it was quite expensive, Istra.
And
Like I
Wales, I
remember
think.
most of like, and I'm quite like I wanted my own bathroom. Like there were cheaper ones, but where it would have been a shared bathroom, fair enough, man. Who I'm with, like I wanted, like Anka, whenever I'm having a moment or a breakdown, I like crying in the shower. So like I want to be able to cry in the shower, you know. So I wanted my own bathroom, so it was way more expensive because of that.
My own bathroom is pretty much all I had over there, man. It was literally like a wardrobe. Firstly, just like props because they really sorted everything out for me. I didn't have that tedious paperwork. It's just like choose a hotel. You have 3 or 4 online interviews so that you actually get selected. So it's not just like they take anyone. So I had 2 for Scotland, 1 for Seychelles. I got accepted in the 2 Scotland ones. And it was just I had to choose between both of them. But then when I went up, it was firstly going up like just the most difficult thing I could have done. I was 19.
You're quite young. Insomma, wait, I was 19 as well.
I just turned 20.
I was 19.
There you go. I had my 20th in Scotland.
I had my 20th there as well.
I unfortunately didn't have my 21st. So I wasn't even legal technically in America. It was like another hassle, like, but separate.
Dweja, man,
Yes,
dweja.
yes.
Lad, drinking in Scotland was not a problem at all. Like even if you couldn't get into a club or a bar, you've got some homies sorting you out
Yes.
constantly.
How good.
Yeah. Now, I remember when I was growing up, I was in a relationship with my ex-girlfriend. I had a good job in Malta, and it's just kind of I was so comfortable in Malta that so going up was just like I'm so gonna step out of my comfort zone over here and have a year of my life where like of doing long distance, of being away from my brother who I'm very close to, and just kind of starting afresh. I would say it's probably the most difficult thing I ever did, just deciding to go up. And I remember at the airport, very similar to your situation where you were crying at Costa. I planned on not crying, but the turnout at the airport was ridiculous. So there was our head of content, Jamie, there as well.
Yes.
And with his fucking 7-year-old handwriting, he wrote me a lovely letter to read on the plane, him and like 4 others. And I just remember reading these letters on the plane, and it really grounded me. Like I really felt like I
I'd
was
be a
on a
wreck,
plane
Keiko.
going to this place away from these people that I love so much. And I was riddled with anxiety going up. It was fucking difficult, man.
It's a big step to take, especially on
is.
your own. So I feel like it's very normal to be anxious about it. It's more, you just need to trust that everything will work out, because it always will. I feel like most people at least enjoy their studying
Yes.
abroad experience. I think for me going up was difficult, man. And I was already working at 3 Hour when I left. But
I remember because when I
When
joined,
you
I was
joined
excited
Flower-
to meet the great Naomi. And it's like, she went for Erasmus yesterday. I'm like,
yes.
why am I here?
But it was still scary because I'm like, all right, 6 months working remotely, like, and you know how it is at the office, like, all hot to party, like. It would
Nah,
have a
you
very
nailed
nice-
the story segment, sis.
Thank
while
you,
were there.
thank you.
Nailed
But
them.
just, I was just alone in my room, like, so it was like, so it was very, like, I was very anxious about it. but
I
still
went
worked
up
out.
with 8 people from Malta.
Austria?
That like I didn't know before. I knew one of them because he was a Milan fan. Shout out to the Rossoneri, by the way. But I went up. I didn't know them too well. But at least so I had those people that were going through a very similar
It's very comforting.
walk to me. You struggled to make friends when you went up.
You know, for me, I mean, I went up alone, but even though I was alone, there were 35 other students in the exact same situation as I was. So there were people from Brazil, from Ireland,
How
from
cool,
Spain,
how
from
cool. I
everywhere.
love it, man.
And that was my biggest worry, I think. So like going up alone, and I was always saying, tipo, I just need to make friends in the first week, especially because it's like the faster you make friends, I think, then the easier the whole process becomes. When I went on Bat and met all these people, the school made it very easy for us to kind of integrate. So we went like a week before everyone else. We had a week of orientation. And it just felt natural, you know?
Nice.
People, since everyone was in the exact same situation, it was so much easier. I mean,
I had a similar experience, but with mine, I was almost forced to make friends in the sense, ġitni tajba ta' eżin, but as soon as I got there, I had to quarantine for 2 weeks. And I was
Roasted.
quarantining with someone like from America. She was from Idaho. She ended up being my best friend while I was there.
Shout out Idaho.
Shout out to Braylon. But it was so random because like I just got there. I don't know this person. And we're there having lunch together,
Oh my
like
God.
eating our pasta, but in like dead silence because we don't know each other. We don't know how to start a conversation. We're like, okay, so you have Instagram. Like it was so awkward. But then we ended up being very, very good friends.
But that's a great conversation starter. What you just said. Do you
Let's
have
wait,
Instagram?
It really, really was because
Really
then we followed each
scintillating.
other on Instagram. She was like, I have really nice photos. And I was like, yes, I love taking photos. And then we ended up like taking photos of each other. Like we had a
Of
little like shoot
course.
because we had 2 weeks not doing
Mamma
anything. We
mia.
were bored. So we were
Yeah.
like, fuck it, let's do like a mini photo shoot since we both like taking photos. And then we ended up getting quite close.
Oh my
Yeah,
God.
that's quite cute.
It was very
That's
cute.
quite cute.
You know, so I had to share a room. But my roommate, we didn't really get along. So
No.
it was very chaotic.
As in, actually, I got along with the roommate I had for quarantine, but then my actual roommates after, I didn't really get along with them either. As in, they were all right. They were just like very introverted, and I'm very extroverted. So
Am I like maqbiltu? Sure, it was just like awkward.
no, they'd just stay in their room and like.
It's just, I mean, I never met my roommate before. So, like, I'm assuming it's the same for you. And you don't even know the people. So it's like, you can be matched up with someone.
in my like apartment, sort of. There were a bunch of students that were like from the UK, so they didn't have the same energy that people had when they were studying abroad. You know, like when someone's studying abroad, you have Shaba energy. You want to go out, you want to do this, you want to do that.
Exact. You have to fit
Whereas they
everything
were
in
more
5
chill.
months.
They were like, we on the lecture, but we're there, not relax. It
Just
was
I
very
was that
different.
person, huh?
Very, I know.
Because for me it was different. Because I like okay, we had Madonna, we had our placements and like our theory work and stuff like that. We had 1 per quarter. But to me it was work, man. It was work at a serious hotel. 5 red star, and you just have to bring that standard constantly, and you typically in hospitality worked overtime. So I was working anywhere between 50 to 60 hours a week.
Lala, that's a lot
Christmas
of
I had done a
pressure.
70-hour week, like it was crazy.
Lalo.
So to me it was very much like resting, going to work, split shift, sleeping 2 hours between your slip shifts.
Not same.
It was
Mine was
stressful.
getting drunk on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday.
Yeah, as in,
Exact. And then you miss a lecture, and you go, and then they complain why you weren't there.
And
It's
my,
like-
my lectures were online as well since it was COVID, so you could
Lalo.
relax.
That's insane. No, as in like we went out and stuff like that, and we would pull. I'd say we pulled all-nighters, but it was mainly like until 2 a.m. because then the clubs shut in Scotland by 2 a.m. But
It's
then
not-
there's the culture of afters in
Aha.
Scotland. You go to afters, and that's where it gets really, really, really messy. You end up going home at 6 o'clock in the morning. You're like, shit, I literally have a breakfast
my
shift
God.
at one of the best hotels in Europe, like
my God.
in 15 minutes, and you have to go and you have to bring the standard, and it's like they're tough
Ilalo.
people to please, man. Because you've got celebrities, you've got rich people, and then as well the people that work at the hotel, they need to keep the standard as high as possible. So you go in there and you're hungover and you're being half-arsed about it, like, then it's a problem. They'll literally send you home. They won't put
It's
you in a
true.
shift again, like.
You have to adult a bit faster there, I think.
As
For
well.
us, it was more like, from what I can understand, like,
Even for me,
Chill.
I didn't have the bars and the clubs because, as I mentioned, it was pre-COVID, so like literally there were clubs, but they were closed. But then we had the best house parties, and like it
Vera.
was insane, man. Like same thing, we'd stay up till like 5, 6 o'clock in the morning, but like we'd have just different house parties, and it was like technically we weren't even meant to have house parties, so we'd have like the police knocking at our door and everyone hiding in different rooms, but everyone's patata. It was so much fun.
oh my God.
And I had a similar experience to you in the sense that I think a lot of universities do this actually. The university I went to made it very easy for us to become friends with each other. For example, people that were there on Erasmus, they made a group chat with all of us together.
Exact.
So like we knew who the Erasmus people
Exact.
were, so then it was easier to make friends. I think a lot of universities do that. So
Yes.
for anyone who's going on Erasmus soon, that helps a lot.
Definitely.
So you both had like a tight-knit group of friends over there.
I did.
How hard was it to come back down and like say goodbye to them, say
Very
goodbye to the
hard.
lifestyle?
Very, very, very. But for example, my experience, the tight-knit group, we were all European. So we met
least.
once, we met once in England, like not last October, the October before, and hopefully we'll meet again soon this summer, maybe. So it's a bit more like easy to actually stay in touch.
Even me, at least, I'm so thankful we actually stayed in touch. Like, same, we met like last August, we went to France and it was all of us. And it's crazy, like to me, it's crazy that we actually managed to meet up because it's like 2 Americans, 4 French, oħra mill-Italja, di mill-Ġermanja, jien minn Malta. I'm like, oh my God, how did we actually manage to find a week where we can meet? It was crazy. And now we're planning on meeting in New Year's as well, but that fell through. But the fact that at least plans were being made, at least it's looking good. Like we're still like keeping connections, and that makes me feel very good because coming down, Madonna.
What's a bit crazy as well, I think, is the fact that even though it was only a 5-month period, Tipo, you get super, super close to these people. Because you're waking up. I was eating every single meal with my friends.
You're living with them.
Practically living with them.
And it's such a unique experience to be living, and you're going through it with them. So when I'm at street, you just get so close.
We were just trying to fit everything in these 5 months, like, and then, I mean, we did this whole 2-week road trip right after. We went to Miami for spring break. We're just doing everything.
How fun spring break in Miami.
How American, eh?
Listen,
bunch of frats on spring break.
It's not as good as you think. I wasn't 21, so it was like the most annoying thing. But I mean, I managed.
Oh yeah, yes, you made the most out of it.
No, yes. I mean, I won't change it for the world, people.
I struggled to come back down, as in like, to me it was more like the goal was to come back down always. The goal was to go there, do the 1 year, and kind of the second I step foot back in Malta, it's mission accomplished. I did what I had to do, kind of thing. So I was excited to come back, but in my last 6 months over there, I made really good friends, and I had 2 in particular, Anya and Mosley. Shout out to you guys. They actually came to Malta to see me after.
Even brilliant, the one I mentioned before, she came to visit me.
I'm terrible, man, because I've been to the UK since. I've been to Scotland, and I never met up with them. So shout out to them for obviously. But I was really, really excited to come back because there's obviously all this opportunity you get after it. That's why we go. No, we go because it's a sacrifice that comes with its enjoyment as well, naturally. But then you come back and obviously you're a recognized student or graduate of a certain university. I myself was looking for a job in restaurant management. I had the backing of a lovely recommendation letter by a very well-renowned hotel GM that really helped to my advantage. So I was excited to come back down.
I was not excited. I tried to get an extension. Like, like I get your point, but I was the opposite. I did not want to come down because even apart from like the friendships that I had awake, I feel like when I did go on Erasmus, mentally I was just not alright. Like I was just like going through a lot, and I feel like those 6 months that I got on my own, I built such a relationship with myself, and I feel like there was so much growth. And I feel like even just coming back, I was so scared that I'd sort of like regress. I think I was overthinking it, but I was just so scared of like going back to that place before where I was like not okay. But it didn't happen, like, it was fine then, but I even little things, like I was living alone for 6 months and I got used to my own routine living alone, and then all of a sudden I had to go home. As in, I love my family, I don't mean this in a bad way at all, I love them, but I went home to a busy house with my parents, my 2 brothers, my brother's girlfriend, 2 children, the dog, the cat, Jen, man, and I'm used to living on my own now. So it was bittersweet, because obviously it still miss people back home, but I cried a lot.
And I tried to keep reminding myself when I was there, Tipo, that this is temporary, I'm going to go back. So, like, obviously, just to make the most of it. But I think even now, when I look at the stories or, like, look
I
at
miss
photos,
it so much.
it's not the same. Like, I kind of forget the feeling that I had. It's just
I feel like it was my
special.
peak.
That is, but part and parcel with it being like a once in a lifetime opportunity, and like that thing that you do once. Like I got the opportunity to for one of my birthdays, my girlfriend and I went up to Scotland and we spent a night at Gleneagles where I met a bunch of the people that I used to work with before, and I was telling one of them who's in a managerial position, like, like imagine coming back, because like I obviously I miss it so much. Like imagine I just come back and get a job. He's like, listen, like merhaba bik, it would be great if you came back.
sweet.
Said, but it won't be the same. You're no longer 19, you no longer have no experience, and you're looking to gain that from here. Like you're gonna come back and it's gonna be like a 9 to 5 kind of vibe. It's no longer gonna have that excitement. So I would relish that. It's sad that we're not there anymore, but it's a once in a lifetime opportunity, and we got it and we did it. Like,
Yes.
and what would you say the impacts were? We're talking about like struggling to come back and how sad it was. But what are some like lessons that you got from being there that you implement to yourself in Malta? Are you a different person after you came back? Because that's very romanticized. Like you go, you come back, and you come back. You went a boy, you come back a man. You know, apparently.
No, but I mean the whole thing. Fil-verità, every single thing had its pros and cons.
Mhux
I
hekk.
mean, living alone, it was amazing because it was so liberating. But at the same time, when I came back home, I forgot the comfort of having like a fridge with
Yes.
like always
That's
stocked.
automatically
Exact.
full.
Or like you don't have to do your own laundry. At least my perspective, I didn't have to do my own laundry. So everything had its pros and cons. So it's ma nafx eżempju, even food. I had the dining hall food for 5 months, so it really
It's just so
wasn't
you didn't
that
even
great.
have to cook.
I
or
didn't
hekk.
cook once in 5 months.
Illallo.
But listen, I was eating tipo imbarazz every day. So, I mean, it was good because I didn't have to stay preparing. But then when I came back home and I was
You get a
actually
reality
eating,
check.
exact. It's completely different. Like everything had it good and bad.
I feel like Erasmus affected me in the best way possible, like in the sense that, as I mentioned earlier, I feel like even though it was just 6 months, but also when you're 18, 19 years old, I feel like 6 months is like quite a bit of time, and
It is.
it really, really is. And I feel like I grew so much, and since I was literally alone, like, and no one could visit me, I feel like I properly got to sort of better that relationship with myself. And for example, my accommodation, since it was in the middle of nowhere, as soon as I opened the door, it was just like fields and like sheep awake. So I'd wake up, like I'd go for a jog. When do I ever do that? Like, but I'd wake up, I'd go for a jog, I'd read. I feel like I made such a routine for myself that's really bettered me as a person and allowed me to grow. And I feel like then, even though it's not the same now, I feel like I still carry that with me a bit, and it did make me more open-minded and
For sure.
even just to make friends and like it's insane, man. I could speak about my experience for like hours, man, at night. Like
And so many things happen in just 5 months. It's
literally, it's crazy.
Exact.
The like main takeaway I took from it is that I think before 19, because I was still young, opportunities were always handed to me. Either like my dad knows someone and he's helping me out, or my brother or my uncle or something. And I always got these, even like being at school, you feel like you've got someone looking after you constantly. But this experience of going abroad and just working my way up in a hotel like that, all by myself, they don't care who my dad is, they don't care who I know absolutely no one over there. So it was like the first time I kind of recognized that my input is my output. So how much work I put in is how much reward I get. And that was like, I think that's what gave me like a good work ethic, for example. That pretty much, I would say. And then there's obviously like the chores and responsibilities
Yeah,
that
so-
you're more up to doing because you finally know how to do them. Like tallimt nagħmel load, you know what I mean?
Being
Like
short ma tallimt, man, I swear. Anytime I had to wash my clothes, I'd like FaceTime my mom. 'Cause man, ma nafx, man. I'd always be so stressed about pressing the wrong button. So like anytime I had to wash my clothes, I'm like, all right, ma, xnafa sissa. It was like
You know, I'm not even
ridiculous.
joking. Everything shrunk for me. Everything.
Oh my
Everything.
God.
It was horrible.
That's why I'd call
but
my mom.
like that's somewhat why Malta's so great as well. I mean, again, I wouldn't change it for the world, people, but we have some really comfortable things. here
Yes,
as well,
man.
which
I
is
feel like
amazing.
sometimes studying abroad is very romanticized, even though it's great, it's amazing, I wouldn't trade it for anything, but it is very romanticized. Like there are a lot of things that like, I'm sure you had your own struggles like, that sort of aren't shown as much. What are things you would have struggled with as empty while you were there?
I felt homesick once.
Once.
No. Once there was one instance like where I felt homesickness. I remember I had gone on a holiday in my first 6 months with my ex-girlfriend. We went to Greece. We spent 2 weeks on an island called Samos together. It was lovely, man, super romantic, like quality time. And then I flew back to Edinburgh. And I remember you have to stop off in Athens first, and I stopped off in Athens. And first, obviously, I was missing her. Like I'm like, la, like I just spent 2 weeks with her. But then what came after that was, I'm not even going home to tell my parents all about my 2-week trip with my girlfriend now. And over there, I just felt like my heart sank over there. And it's like, I remember I was on call with my mom, and I'm trying not to tear up because she wants, like, obviously, I don't want her to worry and stuff like that. But that was the period where I struggled the most. I knew I had a tough time making friends in the first 6 months because I wasn't the most outgoing, because I was stuck to my safety zone. I'm a person that doesn't want other people to worry, so like I stayed in a lot. I don't want my ex-girlfriend to like get any thoughts or something like that. So in this round is Trump for the first 6 months. Then for the last 6 months, what changed was that we had broken up. I was far more outgoing, so people finally started to take a liking to me. I got better at my job, so people respected me. And then after that, things got easier. But those first 6 months, you really need to like stick it out and just like roll with the punches. And God forbid my experience was 5 months like you guys, because it would have been a dreadful one.
That's how our experience is then very different, because Anna, since we're at a university, you also mentioned how the university itself made it easy for you. So it very much depends on that. It's also a bit of luck. It depends on the person a bit. It depends on so many different things. But it always works out.
But also, I don't think it's an issue of being alone. Because I have friends who went in groups and they fought so much.
Yes.
And I was alone, and I was very lucky to meet the right people. But you also, I think, have to put in a lot of effort. So, I mean, any excuse, I remember in the first, I think, month, it was very chaotic because I had, school started there. I was doing the exams of University of Malta online there.
Even me, I was doing my exams of semester 1 when semester 2 over there had already started.
I had 2 weeks of overlap. It was horrible. But at the same time, I needed to meet as many people as possible. And
I forgot about that. You literally just unlocked the memory for me.
That was crazy. But you just have to go with it, like, let's go. If any excuse, I was just going out.
You didn't feel homesick at any point?
I felt homesick once.
I thought I'd be more homesick than I actually was.
Because I was calling my parents every day. My friends were mostly
I was living my best life. The only way I felt homesick was because like my niece and nephew were like still young. They were like 1 and 2, so like 6 months, like they grow a lot. So I was like, oh my god, they're growing and I'm not there. But that's the only way I felt homesick. I was so okay. Like I feel bad for saying it. I feel like I should have been homesick, but I was okay.
It was the same for me. So like I was calling my parents every day. My friends, most of them were on Erasmus as well, so I was like calling them.
The friends that weren't even on Erasmus were quarantined because like it was COVID, so like I didn't even have FOMO because everyone was stuck at home. So
the only time where I would say I felt homesick was once. It was my cousin's wedding, and I just saw all my family together. It was like illallo kukuyetem. But I swear that was the only time where I really felt homesick.
There was the general election while I was abroad, so I'm like, thank God. I mean, you have the traffic back home and you have people honking the horn and stuff like that. Made me kind of think like, what fun, you know what I mean? Because it's once every 4 years and it's just a reason for everyone to kind of go nuts and stuff. That's one thing that made me say like, I'm nalla, I'm in Scotland. Were there any things that like when you went up, you thought they would be one way? Because you hear other people's experience, you watch it in movies, series, but like they turned out to be quite a misconception for you.
I mean, I thought it would be much harder to integrate, to be completely honest. And it really wasn't that bad. I think that was my biggest worry, and it definitely wasn't as bad as I thought it would be.
I'd agree. I feel like a lot of people think that like you have to be extroverted to study abroad, but like I have friends of mine that were super introverted and they went up on Erasmus alone and they still managed to make the best of friends, and it was fine.
And also, I think something else is I thought that I really wouldn't even take care of grades and college and whatever. But realistically, I was going out. I still did well. I was still studying. Like academically, it was an insane opportunity. Tipo. The resources they had in the school were tipo exceptional. So I still learned a lot. And academically, I still did very, very well. So that's something that I think also is a misconception. Because most people think you wouldn't do anything.
I feel like sometimes that is a misconception in the sense that people look at studying abroad and forget about the studying part. People just think, it's a 6-month break where you get to travel away. But realistically, you also need to put in the work, especially for you as you had those long shifts.
Stop it, like.
But it's part of the experience, and it's amazing.
Yes.
To finish off the episode, what's like a piece of advice you would give to someone if they told you they're going on Erasmus or they're studying abroad, like in 2 weeks?
Relax. Like really come to terms with what you're doing. Don't let anxiety or excitement get the better of you, because it's somewhere in the middle of that spectrum. It's not all good and it's not all bad.
For sure.
Make your peace with it and understand that us as human beings, we adapt. You always adapt, no matter what situation you've been put in before. And this is just, you might be scared because you're alone in a new place and you're having difficulty making friends, but sit with it, ride it out, and to be cliche, like the rainbow comes after the rain. So whether your rainbow is making friends and having a good time or getting back to Malta with your qualification, just ride it out and don't be too hard on yourself.
That's so good. He's so good with his words.
I think I would say definitely do your research. I think that's very, very, very important.
Yawn.
People going up prepared is so important.
For sure.
Making sure that you have, for me, even just getting the visa, and there were so many important steps that were crucial. Some people didn't actually make it, like they denied them when they got there. So it's very, very important, yes, to actually do your research. I think that, and to just be open to anything. Like you just have to take it all in and just go with it.
I feel like similar to you, there's a lot of like paperwork and lots of little things that you'd need to do before actually going that feel like a burden. So that's like another one, but fuck it, go with it, get them done, because then it will be worth it. And once you go there, just like go with the flow, trust the process, it'll all work out. I feel like worst case scenario, you have 5 months, even if you don't manage to make friends, which I'm sure everyone will manage to make friends. But worst case scenario is 5 months to yourself, relax, hassa, living your best life, learning about yourself, learning about a different place, and then you come back and then it's all fine. Okay.
Would you encourage people to do it?
100%. I wish I could do it again, man.
Same. 100% people. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah. Same.
Cut.